Hello everyone. So today we will talk about the OOP concept. Object-oriented programming is a computer programming model that organizes software design around data and objects rather than functions and logic. It is mainly used for code reusability and data security. It is fast and easy to operate. Today we will be covering few topics in this video. What is OOP? Building blocks of OOP, OOP pillars which are inheritance, polymorphism, abstraction and encapsulation. Then difference between encapsulation and abstraction, interface and then difference between abstract class and interface. What is OOP? Object oriented programming, OOP, is a way of thinking about the organizing code for maximum reusability. With this type of programming, a program compresses objects that can interact with the user, other objects, or other programs. This makes program more efficient and easier to understand. In short, OOP makes our life easy. Now, the building block of OOPs. So we have two building blocks, object and class. We'll talk about the class first. In the object-oriented programming, a class is a blueprint for creating objects, a particular data structure, providing initial values for the state and implementations of behavior. An object. Classes are user-defined data type that act as the blueprint for individual objects, attributes, and methods. Objects are instances of class created with specifically defined data. Objects can be correspond to real world object or an abstract entity. For an example, we have a car. So the blueprint of a car would be considered as a class wherein a real world example, a car would be considered as a object. Now we are starting the pillars of OOPs. The very important and very first pillar of OOP is inheritance. Inheritance enables you to create a new classes that reuse, extend, and modify the behaviors defined in other classes. The class whose members are inherited is called the base class or a parent class, and the class that inherits those members is called the derived class or a child class. A derived class can have only one direct base class. Now we have different type of inheritance in which single inheritance, multi-level inheritance, hierarchical inheritance, hybrid inheritance and multiple inheritance. Somehow we cannot achieve multiple inheritance with the OOP concept. To get rid of it, we have interface as well. So we will see the interface in upcoming slide. Now, the second pillar of OOP is polymorphism. Polymorphism means many forms and it occurs when we have many classes that are related to each other by inheritance. Like we specified in the previous chapter, inheritance lets us inherit fields and methods from another class. Polymorphism uses those methods to perform different tasks. For an example, if a person who is working as a housewife, who is working in office as well, who is doing the house chores, who is taking care of the children as well, so a person who is doing multitasking can be considered as an example of polymorphism. Now we have two types of polymorphism. First is overloading and second is overriding. Overloading can also be called as a compile time polymorphism because we have to define the methods and its implementation in the compile time itself. That's why this has been called as a compile time polymorphism. Now the method overriding has been called as a runtime polymorphism as well because we implement the methods in the runtime itself. That's why we call it as an overriding method. The next pillar of OOP we have is abstraction. In C Sharp, abstraction is implemented using abstract classes and methods. An abstract class is a class that cannot be instantiated and must be inherited by a derived class in order to be used. Abstract classes are created using an abstract keyword and can contain both abstract and non-abstract methods in it. Now we have an example of abstraction. Likewise, a car driver can turn on the car, turn off the car, can use the accelerator of the car. He or she can use the brake as well, and he can also change the gear. But somehow he or she cannot see how the spark has been created, how the brakes are working internally, how the piston is working internally. So, in short, the hidden part of car is been hidden from the car driver. Now, we have the last and very important pillar of OOP is encapsulation. Encapsulation is nothing but it compresses the variable and method into a single unit. Like object oriented, encapsulation is defined as a wrapping up of data and information under a single unit. It is a mechanism that binds together the data and functions that manipulate them in different way. Encapsulation is a proactive shield that prevents the data from being accessed by the code outside this shield. Technically, in encapsulation, the variable or data of class are hidden from any other class and can be accessed only through any member function of its own class in which they are declared. So, like we declare them as a private class only. As an encapsulation, the data in the class is hidden from other classes, so it is also known as a data hiding. Encapsulation can be achieved by declaring all the variables in the class as a private and using C sharp properties in the class to set and get the values of variable. So we can achieve the encapsulation with the get and set method. Now we have an example of encapsulation like any of the cashier who is asking for the em- employee ID or your name and etc. So the employee ID and the employee name can be disclosed to any of the person, but the salary and the personal information cannot be disclosed. So thus all the information cannot be seen by any of the third people. So that would be an example of encapsulation. Now, many people get confused between the abstraction and encapsulation because they both are being used for the data hiding. So, what is the main difference between both? I could say encapsulation is more secure and more powerful than the abstraction. In this example, as we can see, the abstraction is being used for the calculator in which you can see the body, you can click the buttons, you can see the battery is working, but how the battery is working, how the internal connections are working in this calculator cannot be seen. So that is a part of abstraction, but we can also see the calculation is being made in this calculation in this calculator by clicking the different buttons. So the logic behind the calculation is considered into the encapsulation. So in short, the encapsulation is far different from the abstraction. I would give another example as well. If I'm working in XYZ company and if I want to see a name or the employee ID or the designation of any of the particular employee, I can log in into my software, the HR portal, and I can see all the details about that employee. Somehow, I cannot see the salaries, the personal information, the family information, etc., because those are been taken care by the HR department or the senior people or the admin department. So that would be somewhere a example of abstraction, but those all the details will be visible to HR department, admin department, and the other senior department. Now we have user ID and password as well. Somehow we can see the user ID of each other, but nobody can see the password of anybody because our passwords are getting saved into a database. So that example would be considered into the encapsulation. Now, as I told you that multiple inheritance cannot be achieved by OOP concept. To overcome that issue, we have interface. So with the help of interface, we can achieve the multiple inheritance. In human world, a contract between two or more humans bind them to act as per the contract. In the same way, an interface includes the declaration of related functionalities. The entities that implement the interface must provide the implementation of declaration declared functionalities. In C Sharp, an interface can be defined using interface keyword. An interface can contain declaration of method, properties, indexers, and events. However, it cannot contain instance fields. So, in abstraction and interface both, we cannot create the object of any of the abstract or interface class. Now, many people get confused between the abstract class and interface. So, interface are being used like the interface bodies, or I would say methods are been defined first, but the implementations are been done later on by the implementer. Okay, and in abstract class we have to define the abstract method as well as its implementation, like we can use some of the same methods. If we want to use it in the future, we have to define it while declaring the abstract class, and then we can use it later on anytime. But in the interface, the method can be implemented later on by any of the user, I mean any of the coder. So that is the main difference between abstract class and interface. I hope this video was useful to you, and I'm thinking of creating one more video with the code example as well. So thanks a lot for watching this video. Please like and subscribe my channel. Thank you. Bye.